Hey, it's me, McKayla Mills. Today I'm going to be taking all of the movies that I watched that came out in 2021, not all of the movies that I watched in 2021 because then this would be like a 2-hour long video. I'm going to be taking all of the videos, or all of the movies that came out in 2021 and ranking them from best to worst. I did a year and a half of film major, but I don't think that you could call it film school. I'm going to be ranking them, S being like superior, the best, and D ranking as the worst. You guys know how ranking systems work. First movie in the ranking is Nobody, is the movie with Saul from Breaking Bad. I actually liked this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, so I'm gonna put it at like B. Next is The Conjuring, the new Conjuring movie. I'm not a huge fan of the Conjuring movies. I don't know, like for some reason I always watch them when they come out and I always am like excited to watch them, but then I watch them and I'm like, oh, that's right, I don't like these movies. I've seen like all of the movies in the Conjuring universe and I don't think that they're that great. I'm gonna put it at C. My review of it says, Conjuring movies follow the same formula as Scooby-Doo, and if you watch the movie with that in mind, it changes the whole film. I don't even remember what I was talking about, and that review got 0 likes, so apparently nobody else knew what I was talking about either. Next is The Kissing Booth. This movie was just one long montage. This movie made me red hot angry. It was so bad, obviously. I don't think anybody expects me to come on here and be like, The Kissing Booth? It was so unbelievably bad. It was literally just one big montage that didn't make any sense, and you could tell that like Joey King was like really excited to be there, but like Jacob Elordi was not. It felt like he was being held there. Next is my favorite movie in the whole world, Malignant. Is another James Wan movie, the guy who did The Conjuring. This movie is unexplainable. If you haven't seen it, like it's one of those movies where I can't explain the plot of Malignant without ruining the entire movie. I really liked the beginning of this movie. Like, there's like 3 parts to the movie that feel like they were directed by 3 different people. You know those drawings that you do in like your middle school art class where you fold a piece of paper into like 3 quadrants and then you draw like leading lines onto the next quadrant and hand it to the next person, and then they draw like the shoulder body area, and then when you open it up it's like, oh my gosh, that's not at all, like I would have never come up with it, you know what I mean? That's what this movie felt like. It felt like the first act was directed by somebody who had no clue what the second and third act were, and then also vice versa. By the end of it, I was almost like, that movie was so ridiculous, I think I might like it. And for that, it has to go above The Conjuring. Sorry, it's just an entertaining movie. It's just simply funny. Next is The Candyman, which I was really excited about this movie. I don't remember exactly what my problems were with Candyman. I really wanted to love it. I really did, but I was kind of disappointed. So I'm gonna put it at C. Don't hate me. Sorry.
Candyman.
Don't say that.
Tick, Tick, Boom. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like Rent, and I actually didn't realize that this movie was about the guy who wrote Rent until like literally the end of the movie. Like, there was a moment where I thought to myself, wow, this sounds a lot like Rent, and then at like the very end of the movie they were like, then Andrew Garfield's character wrote Rent, whatever. I only watched the movie because Andrew Garfield was in it. Can you tell I like Andrew Garfield? Andrew Garfield came up on my Netflix and I said, play. Didn't read the description, didn't watch the trailer, I just said play. I think the story of Rent is really good, but I don't like the style music. I feel like I'm gonna make a lot of people mad. Maybe I shouldn't make this video. I think it's annoying. I honestly think it's so annoying, and I thought a lot of the music in this movie was annoying. I think it was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which like... But no, I didn't hate this movie. I love Andrew Garfield. I don't love Vanessa Hudgens, but I think she did pretty good in this movie. I think I'm gonna put Tick, Tick, Boom I think I'm gonna have to put it at B. Just because I thought a lot of the music was kind of annoying. French Dispatch. I was very excited about this. Highly anticipated. I love Wes Anderson, which I know is like a super unique opinion to have. I love all of the silly little things he does. I love his storytelling. I love his camera work. Everything that everybody said about Wes Anderson, you can fill in the blanks. This movie follows a publication, and it's kind of like each act, I want to say. Each act of the movie is just like a different part in the publication of the magazine. And I thought a lot of the publication pieces could have been a bit shorter, because some of them just ran on for like way too long. But I really liked it. I really did like this movie. I am gonna put it at A, because I love Wes Anderson. I saw a review of Don't Look Up that said something like, this is just a higher budget of Gal Gadot's Imagine. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Once I saw that, every positive thing that I had to say about the movie quickly dissipated. This movie, again, like an hour too long. This movie was so long, and it kind of just felt like a bunch of celebrities preaching at us about things that they don't implement into their own lives. It just felt like the Gal Gadot Imagine clip all over again, and John Mayer wasn't even here to save it.
Oh, hell below us.
Me with no makeup, you in the bathtub, bubbles and bubbly, ooh. Imagine all.
I'm gonna put it at C because alright. It wasn't Kissing Booth level bad. Although I enjoyed watching the Kissing Booth, so. The Ultimate Playlist of Noise. This movie was about a kid who finds out that he's like gonna be going deaf in like a month or something. Like, he's obsessed with music. That's like his whole thing. And then finds out that he's gonna go deaf in like a month or whatever, and so then he makes a list of all of the things that he wants to hear before he goes deaf, and he like goes around and records all of them. I really liked this movie. I thought it was cute. I thought it was sweet. I watched this movie and I loved it. I went to the reviews on Letterboxd when I was reading some of the reviews, and I saw where somebody said like, this is just Sound of Metal for kids. And so then I went and found it on Amazon Prime and I watched it and I was like, that was so good. But sorry, it didn't come out in 2021, so I can't rank that. So for the Ultimate Playlist of Noise, I really liked this. I actually think I'm gonna put it at A. I am a huge lover of rom-coms. It's rare that I see a rom-com that I don't love. Ooh, next movie is Willys Wonderland. This was one of those movies that Nicolas Cage did. It's a play on Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't think that, if I remember correctly, I don't know that Nicolas Cage speaks in this movie. I don't know, I watched it in July, so I don't totally remember. But I know that he's like kind of playing this like stone cold, like, nothing bothers me, and like all of these like Five Nights at Freddy like animatronic things are coming towards him. This movie was literally so bad. It was so bad, but funny. It was Nick Cage. And for that, I'm gonna be putting it at D. Val. I put off watching this movie for a really long time because I thought it was gonna make me sad, because I've loved Val Kilmer since I was like 11. Seeing him with his throat cancer makes me so sad. Val Kilmer has been filming his life ever since he was a kid. It was sweet, it was sad. It kind of made me realize that Val Kilmer really doesn't get the recognition he deserves, and I don't think he will. Like, I don't think that he'll have the chance to, because he can barely speak. Also, is he in the next Top Gun? Val is going at A. Dear Evan Hansen. Okay. This movie felt like it was 4 hours long. Again, maybe I'm just not a big fan of musicals. I'd never seen Dear Evan Hansen, like the play, before. So when I watched this, I didn't really know what to expect. I remember people talking about his age, like the main guy's age, Ben Platt. I remember hearing people talk about his age and they were like, he's too old to play a high schooler. And just visually looking at him, I was like, I've seen older. Like, have you ever seen Grease? But then there's a scene where him and Caitlin Denver are like kind of flirting, and I almost screamed in the theater because it was so scary to me. He should not be playing a high schooler, and I hated it. This movie was so long and so boring. I will be putting it at D. No, I'm gonna put it at C, because the story is interesting. It was just bad. I think that if I saw it in play form, I would like it better. Inside. If you don't know what Inside is, it was Bo Burnham's like comedy special, insanity special, musical during quarantine, like showing his time in quarantine. I don't know. I have nothing new to say that somebody hasn't already said about Inside. I'm gonna be putting this one at S because Safer at Home was a quarantine style movie, and I think it like takes place on Zoom, of like a Zoom call with friends, but it was like a horror movie, and I hated it. It was literally so bad. You don't want to watch this, I promise. Oh, I'm telling you right now, I'm putting it at D. Tiny Map of Perfect Little Things. I thought that it was so cute. It's like a Groundhog Day style movie, but the two main characters are both in the Groundhog Day repetition. I always like Groundhog Day. It's a formula that works. It always gets me interested. I always like it. I'm gonna put it at B because like I said earlier, love a rom-com. I truly do. Boss Level was a movie that my parents made me watch, and I was really ready to hate it, but guess what? It's a Groundhog style movie again. So it's a Groundhog style movie where like this guy, every morning he wakes up and like these groups of people are trying to kill him. It's very much like video game style. There's like some plot holes in it, but hey, no Groundhog movie is perfect. There's plot holes in every single Groundhog movie. Groundhog Day movie. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna be putting Boss Level at B. The Friends reunion. They've been teasing a Friends reunion for like the past 4 years maybe, and I was so scared that they were gonna try and make a new episode of Friends of like where all the characters are now, and I was like, don't do that. That is so corny. But I really liked that instead it was just everybody getting together and talking about being on Friends and like behind the scenes and everything. It was good, although James Corden was the host. I'm gonna put it at C because like it was just a reunion. Next is Annette. This was a musical again, and it was with Adam Driver, and it was about like a man and woman falling in love and having this baby, and like through these circumstances this baby has like the most amazing singing voice in the world. But the baby is played by a puppet, which a lot of people didn't like. It's kind of like this creepy like Pinocchio style like marionette doll puppet. I actually loved that. There was like an element of weird, eerie, silly creepiness to this movie. I really liked the tone of it, and I thought that the marionette puppet, I loved it. I really loved it. And it also has kind of a double meaning, which like isn't that hard to figure out. I don't know. I don't want to spoil the movie because it literally just came out. But all of that being said, the music in this movie was so bad. There were bits and pieces that I really liked.
Counterintuitive, baby, and yet we remain. We love each other so much.
I don't know if like something about the music just went over my head and the music was supposed to be bad or what, but the music was like awful. There's literally like a 4 to 5 minute scene where they're all just singing like, "We're traveling around the world," over and over again.
We're traveling around the world. 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 We're traveling around the world.
There's a bit, I can't remember how it goes, where the pilot of the plane that's flying them around the world while they're all singing "We're traveling around the world," like over and over and over again.
Traveling around the world. We're 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 traveling around the world.
Where the pilot is like, "I'm starting the plane," but it sounded like sometimes I'll do like a sing-songy thing like when I'm thinking and words are just coming out of my mouth. That's what this movie felt like especially that pilot scene.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure your seats are in the upright position. We'll be landing shortly.
What was that? I could have written this. Like, it felt like they were just reading their stage directions and coming up with a tune as they were singing their stage directions. But I have to say, after saying all of that, I really did like the overall tone of this movie, so I'm gonna be putting it at B. I would put it at A if the music was even remotely good. Next is The Many Saints of Newark, which I didn't realize was a Sopranos prequel until like halfway through the movie. That being said, I loved it. I think I'm gonna put it at B also. I maybe would have liked it more if I'd seen The Sopranos. I didn't know. Next is Reminiscence. Oh, what? You haven't heard of this movie? Yeah, no, there's a reason you never heard about this movie. It was so bad. I saw it in a dollar theater and I wanted to ask for my money back. That is not a joke. I paid $1 for my ticket and I wanted it back. Basically, the idea, you can go into this tank and like sift through your memories, and this guy's girlfriend like disappears, and so using this tank, he's trying to like find her. This will be D tier. I wish that there was a lower tier so I could rank it under The Kissing Booth. Is there a way to add tier? I'm gonna do the Fear Street movies together. I didn't love these. I'm sorry. The Fear Street movies, if you don't know, like a story in like what, 1994, 1976, and then like 1666. And it's like horror movies based in those times, but like following a similar plot. What is that called? Anthology? I'll call it an anthology. This movie for me was highly anticipated. I was like counting down the days for it to come out, and then I watched 1994 and I was like, oh, maybe I just expected it to be less basic. 1994 I think was worse. I'm gonna put 1994 as C. I thought that the 70s movie was better than the 90s movie, but I thought both of them were so bad I didn't bother watching the third movie. Next is Cruella. I thought that the needle drops that kept happening in the movie were really annoying. I know some people really loved that aspect of the movie. I hated it. It was annoying. It took me out of the movie every single time. That being said, I loved Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil. She did so good. I a lot of times don't like it when they take a cartoon and then try and make it live action because it can never be better than the cartoon. But I think that they did a really good job with this. So I'm going to be putting it at B. Things Heard and Seen. This movie was literally so bad, I don't even remember watching it. I just read the description. Don't recall. Literally at all. And for that, I'm gonna have to put it at D. I gave it, on my Letterboxd review, I gave it 2.5 stars. The only reason that I know I watched it is because I ranked it on Letterboxd. Woman in the Window. I am sick and freaking tired of people trying to remake Rear Window. You're not gonna be able to do it better than Alfred Hitchcock. Give it up. We've seen the story time and time again, and Alfred Hitchcock did it best. Let him. Oh my gosh, my review says, anyways, you can't do Hitchcock better than Hitchcock, so why do people keep trying? And true, this movie was hot dog water. But my review is really funny. So let me read you my review. One time I got put on sleeping pills, and I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep when I felt a rumbling. I looked at a cup of water next to me and it was shaking, Jurassic Park style. I could hear a plane engine, which wasn't unusual because planes flew over my dorm all the time, but the engine got really loud. Then I heard a plane crash into a building outside of my window. I felt everything shake and heard horrible screams, and my room lit up from the window with the explosion. I ran to my window and pulled the blinds, and immediately all of the noise went away and everyone was walking around campus like nothing happened. My roommate walked in almost simultaneously, and I was standing at the window, and I said, "Did you hear that?" And she said, "What are you talking about?" I stopped taking those pills, and I also stopped sleeping, even worse than before. This is a true story. And I also think that my story about sleeping pills was arguably more interesting than this movie. Does she go on sleeping pills? Is that the thing? I'm gonna be honest, that movie was so bad, I only remember bits and pieces of it. Anyways, Woman in the Window, obviously D tier movie. I'm surprised that I gave it 2 stars. I think that I only ranked it with 2 stars on Letterboxd because it's Rear Window, and that's one of my favorite movies. Rear Window. Next movie is old. I personally love M. Night Shyamalan. I know. This movie was about these people going to a beach, getting stuck there, and finding out that they're on a beach that like ages them progressively. Like, what, a lifetime in 2 days maybe? There's a lot of plot holes in this movie. There's a lot of things that I don't love about this movie. I'm hoping that, like a pendulum swinging, we're on our way back to good M. Night Shyamalan movies. I hope. I want it so bad. I didn't think that this movie was terrible. I actually really enjoyed it. Saw it twice, in theaters twice. And I enjoyed it the whole time. It tells you in the trailer what happens. It tells you, like, people go to this beach and they progressively age. But it takes them forever to figure it out. Like, they get on the beach and they're like, why do I have wrinkles? Why are my kids' bathing suits not fitting? And it's like, oh my gosh, we knew what was gonna happen before we even came to the theater. Sitting there and watching them like very slowly figure it out was like pulling teeth to me. I really think that they should have either kept that a secret in the trailers or figured it out faster. I'm gonna rank it B. Are people mad at me? Don't Breathe 2. This was a movie nobody asked for. Nobody wanted to see this. Don't Breathe, the first one, was like, it was good, it was alright. Don't Breathe 2? What? Who wanted that? It was like entertaining to watch. It wasn't good. I think I'm gonna put it at C tier, because it wasn't like offensively horrible. Save Ralph was a short about a bunny rabbit that gets tested, like products tested on. Kind of was like encourage people to like be more aware of like animal cruelty and stuff. I actually thought that this was fantastic. It was well done. I'm gonna be putting it at A. I really loved it. Watch it. It's on YouTube and it's like 10 minutes maybe even less. Speaking of things on YouTube for 10 minutes, all too well. I am not a fan of Taylor Swift. I'll be the first person to tell you. I do not like Taylor Swift. However, this short film was so good. Again, I think I said this in my review. I literally didn't even know that Jake Gyllenhaal and Taylor Swift dated, ever, until I watched this, and it had me crying over their relationship. This was brilliant. S tier. For sure. Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink did so good. Next movie is The Resort. The main character was writing a book, like a horror book, on this resort in Hawaii that was like haunted or something. And so like as a birthday gift, her friends helped her trespass into it. They get stuck there overnight and the haunting ensues. And it was bad, for sure. And for that, I'm gonna rank it C because again, it wasn't like offensively bad. It was like borderline entertaining. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I didn't read these books. I didn't like To All the Boys I Loved Before 1 and 2, so I don't know why I even bothered watching 3, but It was bad. I'm gonna be putting that at D, because it was offensive. It was offensive to me and my eyes. Next one is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I really like Venom. I recognize that they're not great movies, and I feel bad because I feel like Tom Hardy deserves better. But I enjoy watching these movies. I do. I truly do. Should I put it at a B or C? Actually, this is perfect. Imagine I just put it in between B and C. It kind of did that by itself, so it's a good visual. Because I think it was, like, marginally better than all of the movies on C, but, like, definitely worse than all of the movies on B. Next is Luca. I loved this little movie. I love Italians. I love mermaids. I loved everything about it. I'm gonna be putting it at S tier. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but in Kanto? In Kanto? I loved all of the visuals. This is the new Disney movie. Unfortunately, the music was so uninspired. I hated all of the songs. All of them felt forced to me. I don't know, it was like every time they started singing, I was like, oh. I also think that Lin-Manuel Miranda was the head of music on this. Maybe I just don't like him. But I'm gonna be putting it at A, because despite the music, I really liked everything else. Although, I didn't love the ending. I thought that the ending was like kind of... Like when it ended, I was like, oh. It's over? Oh, I didn't explain this movie. It's about a girl who lives in a magical family, but she doesn't have any powers. She's not magical. Next is Last Night in Soho. If you saw this movie, I want to apologize. There was nothing good about this movie, genuinely. It follows this girl who moves, she's like, starts going to college and everybody bullies her. And so she like moves out of her dorm and moves into like this haunted dorm, starts following like these ghosts around type thing. It's so bad. Don't bother watching it. I'm putting it at D tier. There was nothing great about that movie, genuinely. It was garbage. The Voyeurs, next. This is with Sydney Sweeney. It's about her and her boyfriend moving into a new apartment and becoming obsessed with watching their neighbors across the way. Rear Window-esque, but definitely not Rear Window enough to be a copycat. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of binoculars through windows. There's a lot of, like, you're just watching window and, like, people walking by. It was definitely Rear Window inspired. I think, genuinely, my favorite thing about The Voyeurs was the font that they used. I really loved it. I've been trying to look for a place where I can download the font they used, because it opened and it said like, with Sydney Sweeney, The Voyeurs, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. This movie was not good. Sydney Sweeney deserved better. I'm sure, as you can imagine by the title, borderline pornographic, which I wasn't expecting. Again, this is one of those movies where I didn't read anything about it. I just clicked on it because I saw Sydney Sweeney, and then my eyes were assaulted every now and then. I should have been able to guess that by the title, though. I just literally didn't even think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna say this movie's C tier for sure. It's not great, but it's almost corny enough to be like fun to watch. I would say if you're gonna watch this, watch it with friends and be ready to laugh a lot. Next is SpiderMan No Way Home. Me and Jack went and saw this opening day in theaters. Again, it's one of those movies I can't say anything because I will spoil it. I'll get too excited. It's just a Spider-Man movie. And that's all you need to know. And that's enough to go see it. This was one of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen, and that's why it's going in S tier. Alright, this is my definitive list, I think. Hey, I'm back. This is me after I've already edited the video, and I've had time to ruminate on my decisions, and I'm not happy with them. So I will be changing them. So, let me talk you through this. First of all, French Dispatch is A tier. And I'm sorry that I did that. What else? I think I'm actually going to move Annette up to A, because as I was complaining about it and listening to the music again to edit this video, I actually, I'm sorry to say, saved some of it. Oh no. Next is Candyman. So sorry that I did that to Candyman. I think I'm gonna put it at A because the only problem I had with it was the ending. But I loved everything else about this movie, and I kind of forgot about that when I was recording this video. The cinematography was great, the storytelling was great, the acting was phenomenal. So I'm really sorry that I ever thought for even a moment to put that in C tier. How disgusting of me. Let me know what you think. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how I'm right. I love to be validated. Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.